This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J Cast presented by MyBookie. I'm Joel Abraham, joined by Damon McDonald. How are you, Damon? You okay?
I'm sleepy! I'm good, aside from that. But yeah, I have trouble sleeping and I take stuff to sleep and my dumb doctor didn't fill the script and now I'm tired. But I'm full of energy for you. You in your car, going to work. You with your earbuds on. I see you. You're excited for G1, and so are we. And that's what we're here for you to talk about. Don't worry about me sleeping. Don't worry about my health. It's all about you and your enjoyment. How am I turning this negative? No. It's about talking about G1 because it has been a good couple of nights. Great couple of nights, as a matter of fact. So I'm excited, just a little sleepy. So I'm going to give you all my energy, all of it.
Well, before we get on to the G1, we need to start with a terrible news that befell your great leader.
What's that? Is there another debate?
Have you not heard?
Dude, when I tell you that I woke up and it was 5:58 when I finally fucking fell asleep, and I rolled out of bed, I'm sitting in the nude and a shirt on. That's what we're doing right now for G1. What's going on?
Donald Trump says him and his wife have got COVID.
Oh, no, really? I laugh. That's terrible. I shouldn't laugh. But, yeah, wow, okay. Well, a guy who says it's no big deal. Well, all right, let's see how he makes. Let's see how he makes out. Let's see how he does. Wish you the best.
That was supposed to be a bit because I'd assume you'd already heard the news, but
no.
I realised you didn't actually know.
I
thought I'd better inform you. So there you go. I'm sorry if I've ruined your day even further. I know how much you love the guy. So
you know me, just such a huge. Let's do the bit then. Let's rewind and then let's do the bit.
All right, Damon. We need to start with the terrible news that befell your great leader. Harold Meij has left the building. Yeah, that was the bit, yeah? You like that? Funny?
Bravo, throwing roses. Take a bow, Joel. Come on. Encore. Do an air guitar now.
We're doing this for free. Can you imagine that, Damon? We must be mental.
I know. Yeah, how about Harold? There goes all our scoops and news. That was our source, everyone.
I don't know. You weren't there, actually. I can't remember when it was exactly, but it might have been either Wrestle Kingdom 13 or 14. I think it was 13, actually, when I went into the Tokyo Dome, and he was there. Harold Meij was there handing out stickers or whatever he was doing. Mm-hmm. And then I just went and said hello to him. I was like, oh, hi, I've got a podcast, Super J Cast. And he said, oh, yeah, I think I've seen that.
Really? Because when I went to...
It's a podcast, mate. You listen to it. You don't watch it.
I went.
No idea.
I went to...
then, he might know who we are now.
Well, right, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. Or fortunately. When I went to the Liger retirement, he was doing the same thing. And I had a couple of pops in me, strong 0 or 2, and then... they had Zima there. They had a big Zima stand there. So, of course, we had to try all the flavors, Joel. So, he's in the lobby doing the same thing. And the line was pretty long to meet him. But everybody was egging me on. And I'm like, I'm getting the fucking line. Sure, I'll meet him. And I just got tired of waiting, to be quite honest with you. And I bailed out. So, we avoided a major problem. It wouldn't have been a major problem. It would have been nice and friendly, but
it could have been worse. I mean, John Carroll threw a bottle at his head when they went to Dominion last year. So
what? Really?
Not on purpose.
Oh.
I don't want to steal the story from John. You can go and listen to Wrestling with Makazao. I'm sure John will talk about it then, but it is a very funny story. So, little plug for Wrestling with Makazao there.
That's nice tease.
There we
nice
go.
tease.
I mean, big news about Harold, new dad Harold. I know this is something that Joe and Rich from the flagship, they mentioned this as a possibility almost a year ago. But this doesn't seem to me like a mutually agreed upon amicable parting of the ways that's been in the works long term. To me, and it's just the way I see it, it looks and smells like he's been forced out. And I'm just basing this on little tidbits, like the fact that he lost his Bushiroad stock options, the fact that this has happened less than 3 years into his tenure, and the caveat there being that executives normally get their long-term incentives after 3 years. So the fact that he's gone before May or June 2021 makes me think that it was intentional. Even the goodbye message on Harold's blog raises some eyebrows just by virtue of what he doesn't say rather than what he does say. Like, he talks about the wonderful relationship he had with Tsubayashi, but he doesn't mention Kidani at all, which makes me wonder if there might have been some bad blood there. Just when you put all those pieces together, there was some discussion about this on Wrestling Observer Radio. I agree with some of the points there because, I mean, Damon, you are aware now that having watched hit TV show Hanzawa Naoki, I'm now an expert on Japanese office politics.
Yes.
For those of you who haven't seen it, Hanzawa Naoki, he's a guy who he's effective, he gets results, but he rubs people the wrong way because he's got a big ego and he draws a lot of attention to himself, which is a big no-no in that environment. And spoiler alert, if you want to watch it, skip forward 30 seconds. He's ultimately given the boot at the end of season 1 because of those issues. And I wonder if similar issues could be at play here, because I'm quoting the article that paraphrases The Observer, which says, during his time there, May was said to have brought in great mainstream publicity for the company, but some felt the focus was too much on him rather than the company itself. May also had his own fan club in Japan, which rubbed some people the wrong way. Now, I checked, he doesn't actually have his own fan club, but he did do a lot of promotion, a lot of TV programs, a lot of interviews. He wrote a book, and it seems like a lot of the focus for that promotional stuff was like the foreign CEO who speaks Japanese fluently, rather than the focus being on New Japan Pro Wrestling itself. So I'm guessing that was a big issue. And there's other factors as well. It talks about losing Kenny Omega. I think that's a factor too. I mean, we might poke fun at him from time to time. There's no denying he's a star. Mentions the lack of an AEW relationship. I don't think that played a part at all. So don't get your hopes up of that being put on the table, because I think that is a company decision, not a Harold decision. So Harold's gone. We got Takami Obari coming in, who's the current CEO of New Japan of America. He's going to take his place. No surprises there. He seemed like he was the guy who's been groomed as a replacement anyway, because he's a younger guy, he's got a really impressive CV, fluent in English. I don't expect too much to change. Maybe some behind-the-scenes changes, but that's about it. So what was your feeling on the news of Harold Meij's departure?
Yeah, I mean, again, it has... We've all heard the rumblings, and again, and I know Joe and Rich brought those to light. It does seem like a little bit more of a sandpaper exit as opposed to, I'm moving on to bigger and better things kind of situation. I know that, and we've heard in the past about how people perceived the spotlight, as you called it, being shined very heavily on Harold as opposed to New Japan. Now, I don't think anyone, at least that I've spoken with here in the States or outside of Japan, ever really made a big hoot about it, right? Like, to us, it was, at best, it was, okay, shoulder shrug. He's a company. We see it all the time. The head of a company. We see it all the time. But again, not knowing the inner workings of Japanese office politics. And I've seen both the British and American version of The Office, so I kind of feel like I might be an expert too, Joel. Yeah, I don't.
Well, okay, no, I'm going to stop you there. Which one's better? And there's only one correct answer
British.
here.
The British, yeah.
his opinion. So
there's no the idea of AEW or the lack of a relationship playing a factor. I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think that's really. I think, and I don't even think Western expansion is that much of a problem or much of a factor. I will say this: what we did, I can tell you that we've heard from more than one person that there was an interpolitics issue between him and Kadani. Again, we can't confirm that. I mean, we've never spoken to them, obviously, but we've heard it from more than one person on more than one occasion. So there might be some truth to that. So all that, it does seem, the stock option thing was one of the things that was shared with me. That was a little bit of a head scratcher and an eyebrow raiser. Like, okay. I don't think this impact. I will say this as well, and Joe, I think you can confirm. I'm sure there's more than a few people at New Japan Pro Wrestling that are, I don't know if happy is the word, but they're excited for the future. Let's put it that way. And we'll see where it takes us. I don't think it impacts the in-ring product, though. I'm going to mention something, and I'll do it on the air because that's when we usually do all of our backstage talk. And again, it's early. I'm sleepy, so Joel, you'll need to confirm with me. Didn't someone tell us that Harold wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the out of the gate push that Jay White got?
I've got no recollection of that. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, then maybe it didn't happen. For whatever reason, that was one of the first things I thought of. So maybe I shouldn't have even said it. So, all right. But for some reason, I seem to remember that. Okay, so that never happened.
I think you dreamed that up, Damon.
Maybe I dreamed that. Maybe that was a dream I had about 10 minutes ago. But yeah, okay. So aside from that, I don't really see this being a huge impact on what we see in the ring. End of story.
Okay, so we've got a few questions. In-ring answers. Do you think Harold is paying the price for not expanding in the US, losing a TV deal and running random towns with shitty cards, etc.? Again, it's probably played a factor, played a part, but I wouldn't say that was the main reason, no.
Yeah, I want to. What do you think about the US stuff, though? Do you think like not having a TV deal in place, not having a firmer hold on the US market, do you think that played any factor?
Yes, I'm sure it did. I don't think that was the defining reason, but probably didn't help. Let's put it that way.
That's probably the best way to say it. It probably didn't help. Correct. But he did. I mean, he did more than anybody else, right? Or did?
And I don't know how much of it he was responsible for as
right.
well, because, like I said, Obari was the one who took over. I can't remember when exactly that was. I believe that was sometime last year. So all the shenanigans that went on with the New Beginning USA tour with all the visas and stuff, that wasn't. I don't think that was Harold's fault. I don't think that was Obari's fault either. Whoever was in charge of it before, I don't know, but I wouldn't lay the blame for that at the door of either of those men.
Yeah. It's again. I think I know people when the news first broke, Joel, that I'm sure a lot of people were focused on AEW aspect, especially in the West here, in the States. I'm sure a lot of people were just thinking that the forbidden door, I believe is what you called it, would be opened. I don't know if that's going to be the case. And I don't think that relationship not happening was a big factor in this as well. That's some opinion, but some of what we have heard. Yes, so there you go.
Well, a question from Jonathan, also a similar question from Manabu, who say, now that his time's winding down, what do you think Meij's legacy is?
That's a great question, actually. As I said, I name me another person who, at least was the figurehead at the minimum of New Japan, kind of forging its way in the United States. However successful that is, he did more than anyone else.
The correct answer, Damon, is that video of him taking a shower, sitting in his dressing gown watching New Japan. I mean, I joke, but I do wonder if when that video went up, there were people at Bushiroad watching that thinking, what the fuck is this?
But that was one of the first things, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was literally our introduction to the guy.
Right.
That, and I do remember him, and again, I thought it was fun and light at heart, and for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. And again, I don't know how a Japanese audience felt, but I also remember the Tai Chi thing where he did the pants rip off thing.
Yeah, and he was ringside at Korakuen for one show, and Taichi went and gave him the middle finger. So,
I do remember that.
He was front and center for quite a few angles. I remember there might have been some stuff with the Bullet Club as well when we had the whole firing squad thing.
Yeah.
And then that very quickly stopped, didn't it? So again, you wonder if someone from upstairs had a word and said, no, don't do that.
I know everybody online was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? We don't want any on-camera role for this guy. I think I would say if you're going to grade him, you can't give him an overwhelming success. But I think you can give him a middle-of-the-road success. Profits, they've made more money than they ever have. And it continued to grow, maybe not at the rate this year, but I think they had a lot of fucking things going against them. I would say success. I would put it as success. Again, we're not doing cartwheels in the fucking street, but I think success is a fair statement, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, Tokyo Dome's continued growth.
Profit
up
year on year.
Yeah, merchandising. We got New Japan World. We got,
subscribers going up, attendances going up.
Yeah, success. Let's not even hedge it. Success.
Bash says, with Obari being the final boss, it sounds like a video game. He's going to be up in his office with a machine gun. Do you think they will keep the US section separate or merge it into one now? And Mark says, obviously any overseas shows are on definite hold due to COVID travel restrictions, but does Meij being replaced by the former head of New Japan of America bode well for more aggressive foreign plans, more of the same, or a roll back on foreign shows and expansion? My guess would just be more of the same. I wouldn't read too much into the fact that Obari was previously head of New Japan of America. I think that he was just seen as the man for this job, not, because of the work that he'd done in the States, if you get me.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in his notebook that's a goal of his. But, I think we're on the same page with that.
He was just on excursion there, working out his gimmick, and now he's going to come back and ready to be a main event player.
Yeah, the company loves him. Everybody that I talk to has nothing but positive things to say. So, at least from what I gather, everybody's on board. So that's a positive. That's for sure.
One last question. Daryl says, imagine you're the new president of New Japan. What's your first objective and your first bold move? To me, their biggest focus should be rebuilding the international expansion that has atrophied after the Elite left. But the US market is flooded with the wrestling content at the moment. Is there room in the market for New Japan? Could they realistically sell out MSG again? So imagine you're in the hot seat, Damon. What would be your priorities?
TV deal in the States. And that would be, if not number one, then 1A. It's hard to make any kind of ground and consider yourself a major player in this market if you don't have TV. Doesn't mean they're going to make a ton of money on that TV deal, but I think that has to be a priority. I think that's it. I think that would be number one because I think everything falls in line with New Japan's success here with the TV deal. Japan-wise, I don't know. I feel like they're on a real steady path in Japan. I don't
Don't rock the boat, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think get out of the COVID situation. I don't want to say unscathed, but as well as the company has navigated those choppy waters. And just kind of steer the ship. We don't have to write any course per se. We just got to get out of choppy waters. But U.S., I would say TV deal.
All right, let's go on with the G. Oh,
I'm sorry, and a better podcast, right? We're gonna take over.
Maybe some new commentators, huh?
Yeah. No.
No way.
No way.
Bullshit. Okay, grade 1 climax. Let's talk about the Young Lion matches first, rather than talking about each of them in turn. Your overall thoughts, and I mean the one that stood out obviously was the one we got last night, which was the time limit draw between Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji, which is certainly the first time Gabe Kidd's gone to the time limit draw, I think. And I thought it was really, really impressive. I thought they kept my attention throughout the whole of that time period, showed a lot of great energy and fire and enthusiasm. It really meant a lot to them, and I was very impressed. What did you think of it?
Yeah, this was your normal Young Lions match, ratcheted up a few notches with intensity and fire and people caring. And it's amazing. What I find amazing is that everybody will say basically the same thing. Don't skip the Young Lions matches. Young Lions matches, really good. And they are pretty much the same in the sense of you could stick anybody in that role and they're going to do fine. Even throughout, the past, 6-7 years. These are exactly the same matches as we would see before. And they're basic. And they're not. You're not seeing the flash and the character work and the other things that make a pro wrestler great. You're seeing basics, but those basics are so. It's almost like seeing a band, without all the production tools, and they're just raw and energy and basic. That it captivates you, and it wakes you up, and it makes you feel something over 3 fucking chords. This is the same way. I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to look at results and be like, okay, who's ahead of the game here when it comes to wins? But Joel, dare I say, we're all winners when it comes to the Young Lions.
The real winners are the fans.
That's right, because they are great. And just the way that the matches are structured, basic things people care. I mean, for the last one we saw, like a good 5-6 minutes was a headlock. It was centered around a fucking headlock. Yet it was captivating, and you're, I don't want to say you're on the edge of your chair, but you're into it. And it's basic stuff.
So that's our Young Lions dealt with. Let's move on to day 6, which was Tuesday, September 29th at Korakuen Hall. And our first block match in the B block was Yoshihashi defeating Sanada in 15 minutes 15 seconds with Karma. This was absolutely fine. The match was, nothing to write home about. Nothing really memorable about it. But I just thought it was a really interesting booking choice to have Yoshihashi win. And my takeaway at the end of that match was I was way more impressed with Yoshihashi than I was with Sanada. Yoshihashi looked like the fiery, passionate up-and-comer who had a future climbing up the cards. And Sanada just looked like a guy. So that was something that stood out to me from this opening match, at least.
Yeah, I would agree. And I'll go so far as to say Sonata hasn't really, and I probably could say this every year, there are moments where Sonata doesn't do anything for me. This might be in that category as well. And again, that's not to say this was a bad match. It wasn't. It was there. It was a match. But yeah, I mean, this was a Sonata doesn't do anything for Damon bucket for sure.
The next match was Kenta defeating Zack Sabre Jr. in 15 minutes 46 with a go to sleep. I love this match, Damon. This was great. It was just all action the whole 15 minutes. I love these matches with Zack where his opponent kind of taps into his cockiness and his arrogance. They draw him into a striking battle, and Zack's never going to win a striking battle because he's a noodle man. Right. But Kenta's sucking him into that, and so there was just like a really nice interplay between the striking of Kenta, because Zack was just selling it like absolute death blows, and Zack with his grappling ability, maybe he's going to get the European clutch or the flash pin, because that was always a danger. And then the submission stuff where they were kind of equally balanced there, where you got Zack's range of creative submission maneuvers and Kenta's game over submission maneuver. So it was kind of, they were in a bit of a stalemate there. So it was like one of those kind of classic MMA battles, like where you got the striker against the grappler. So I found this match fascinating, and I think they've got really good chemistry. They had a great match in the G1 last year, and the way Zack sold the go to sleep was just wonderful. He looked like he was dead. So big thumbs up for me for this match.
Yeah. I've, for different and various reasons, I've liked Zack's performances in G1 this year. I think Kenta's had a great tournament. Maybe a really good. Let's put it that way. A really good.
So, certainly better than what he's been putting on New Japan Strong. Let's say
yes.
That at least.
Oh, without question. Yeah, no doubt. And even that wasn't bad. That wasn't terrible. That was pretty good as well. Yeah, there was something about this match, and it might be just a matter of guys being, you would think, pretty opposite, just having good chemistry, right? Opposites attracting. But yeah, I know we hate doing stars, right? But
I don't mind doing stars. I can totally see the value in stars. It's just I don't feel that me just going through what moves happen in the match and then slapping a star rating. I don't think that's what people want to hear in the podcast. So I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say there is no value to a star rating, because I think it gives a useful indicator benchmark of how much you enjoyed a match, and if you respect that person's opinions, then it's going to be useful. So I'm not like massive anti-star ratings thing. I just don't think it's particularly interesting.
All right, well, then I'm not going to do it then.
No, but this is my point, Damon. I respect your opinions. I want to hear your star ratings, but when people are tweeting out, "Oh, my average star rating for Kenta is 3.76," I don't give a fuck.
Right. I just do it because it might be the easiest way for me to communicate if I like the match or not. To be honest with you.
Let's hear the star ratings then.
All right. 17. I gave it 17 stars. No. I'm in the fours. I'm in the fours. I'm in the low fours. That's where I felt like this match fit and brought me. So yeah, low fours.
Next match was Hiroshi Tanahashi defeating Juice Robinson in 40 minutes 16 seconds with a roll up. This was okay. It wasn't bad.
I was disappointed.
Yeah. Well, there was The finish was a bit weird, because it was like Tanahashi just dropped and then Juice froze and then Tanahashi rolled him up. So I don't know if there was a kind of a bit of a botch there. And they did have a better match than this in the New Japan Cup a couple of years ago. So I was expecting more here. And I like the story they were telling, where Juice is the fitter, stronger, younger, hungrier guy, and has kind of got Tanahashi on the ropes, and Tanahashi's just sort of squeaking out victories using his veteran skills, like his craftiness, managing to outsmart his opponents rather than, out-muscle them or outspeed them or whatever. So I appreciated it from that aspect, but this wasn't really special or memorable.
Yeah, which is a little bit disappointing in the sense of we were coming right off of the Yano match. So I was kind of hoping Tanahashi was going to be, I don't know. I'm not putting the blame on Tanahashi here in this match. I just thought maybe we would have a little bit extra incentive to have a real great match. And I thought these two would have a great match. I don't know. There was something missing. And I did see that narrative of the match of, Juice being the stronger, the hungrier one, maybe the one with a little bit more fire, and Tanahashi being the crafty veteran, and just looking for an opening to get the win and get the fuck out of Dodge. This was all right. My feeling going out of the match was a little disappointed because I thought it would. I was really looking forward to this, and it didn't hit the mark where I was kind of hoping it would hit.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Semi-main event was Toru Yano defeating Evil in 4 minutes 33 seconds with an inside cradle. I don't really understand why this was the semi-main event. It was all right, I guess. For a Yano comedy match where he's sneaking out the funny win over Evil, whatever. I don't have any strong feelings on this, unfortunately.
Yeah, just nonsense and ball shots and just, all right, how do you review something like this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you sit there? Do you review it?
I'll tell you what my metric is for reviewing a Yano match. Did it make me laugh?
Right.
If it didn't make me laugh, did it make me smile? Did this match make me laugh? No. Well, maybe like a bit of a chuckle when I saw that he'd actually beaten Evil. But, Yano has beaten Sanada, he's beaten Tanahashi, he's beaten Evil. So it's not like losing to Yano is like, oh my God, this guy's dead in the water now that he's lost to Toru Yano. It's a wild card thing, and you just kind of roll your eyes and then move on.
It is pretty crazy, though, how he does get wins over big names. And, it's not like he's, hitting some devastating move for that win. These are all just, cheating. That's what he does. And being sneaky and finding new ways to be sneaky. Are you shocked? You said you gave a chuckle. Were you shocked that they gave him wins over Tanahashi and Evil?
Yes, I think having 3 out of 3 for those 3 opponents who you expect to be in the running or close to by the time the final night comes around, that was a big surprise. But again, it's meaningless, isn't it? Because Yano's just there to sort of play spoiler, balance out the points a bit, and hopefully make you laugh once or twice.
Right. Okay. So on the giggle scale, didn't hit the mark, and it did not for me as well. All right. So that would be a poor performance for Toru Yano. All right. Move on.
Main event, Tetsuya Naito defeats Hiroki Goto, 21 minutes 58 with a Destino. I loved their match they had at Korakuen last year in the G1 because it was shorter than this and more intense. And both guys just went at it hammer and tongs, and I thought they had really good chemistry. But here, putting it in the main event slot and having to stretch it out to a 22-minute match, I felt compromised that excitement and drama. Mm-hmm. And we had just the opening section of the match where Naito's in control wasn't particularly interesting to me. The closing stuff was good. They're always good in New Japan main events. Some nice back and forth interplay between the finishing moves, the Destino and the GTR. But it was okay. It was not a bad match, but it's not one that's going to be in my top 10 come the end of the G1.
You mentioned the critique there that I'm telling you, it's more than once, even in the shows that we're going to talk about here today. That idea of if this match were put on anywhere else on the show, it probably would have been miles better. And the idea of having to stretch it out, fill the time, because the main events have to go a certain length for whatever reason. We can't just go 10 minutes and send, people home with a great match. No, we gotta fucking draw it out. It hurts the match. And there's another match that I felt the same way that we'll talk about later, even more passionately. Good, not great, right? Good, not great. And I think one of the big things was that idea of this being the main event and having to I don't want to say kill time, but we had to kill some time. And that makes for some slower, we'll call it, moments in this match.
Night 7 was Wednesday, also at Korakuen Hall, and back to the A block, where we had our first A block match being Minoru Suzuki defeating Yujiro Takahashi, 7 minutes 53 seconds with a Gotch-style power driver. I like this. I think Yujiro is doing an absolutely fine job being the opening G1 match more often than not. Again, I take back what I said about him being the night off, because he's not. I think he's really putting in effort, and I enjoyed seeing him showing a bit of fire, a bit of passion, getting in a striking exchange with Suzuki, showing a bit of that fighting spirit. And yeah, it was just fun watching them going back and forth. Again, nothing that's going to get on your notebook or your spreadsheet, but as far as Yujiro Takahashi goes, I think he's been perfectly fine.
I tell you what, I like the fact that he gave up his back more. He took one chair shot, and I thought that was going to be it. He took about 2 more, and I was like, "Wow, look at."
Made you cheer for him, didn't it? I never thought I'd be cheering for Yujiro Takahashi, but he made me sympathise and want him to get the win here. And I think he's probably going to go 0-9, but even so, I kind of want him to get a win. If he does get a win, I'm going to be happy for him.
Yeah, I will be too. I don't know if we'll be able to go through and see what he's got left on the table where he might get that win, but you're saying he goes over. You figure he's got to get at least one. Yeah, it gives you something a little bit to root for, right? I will say this about Night 7 and the Korakuen shows. Do you find Korakuen to be your least favorite venue in this COVID era, Joel? Like, I see the other buildings, and there's just something about them. They feel like I don't know. There's something about them that maybe it's because they don't get haven't gotten a lot of pro wrestling in the past couple of months, and they're I don't know. They can't yell and scream, but it just feels like there's more energy, and it feels like a show. And these Korakuen shows sometimes feel a little bit dead. And
certainly with the crap clouds.
Yeah.
Crap
crowds.
Because the fact that, we've been to Korakuen and we know it's an intimate, noisy venue that the uniqueness of it is how fiery and loud and passionate the fans can get in there. And when you take away the ability to make that noise, then it loses all of its charm.
A whole hell of a lot of it. Yeah, it really does. Yeah, it's just, like I said, one of those things where I almost couldn't wait for them to get out of there and get back on the road because, I don't know, just like those venues just feel, maybe it's because they can fit more people in them, or I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but they feel like real shows minus cheering. All right, sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't want to derail us again. Next up, what we got? Ibushi and Cobb, which was really good, right?
It was really good. I thought this was Cobb's best match of the G1 so far, and I think a large part of that is down to Ibushi, who I think helped elicit that monster energy that we want from Jeff Cobb. There are a few spots in here that we haven't seen from him before, like when Ibushi was holding onto the turnbuckle and Cobb pulls his legs out and grabs him in midair and slams him, and when he did like the F5000 thing and sent Ibushi twirling off like a helicopter. I was like, yes, that's the Jeff Cobb I want to see. And so, we had this early part where Jeff was manhandling Ibushi, which was exciting, and I enjoyed that a lot. And then Ibushi just, gradually taking control with his striking and puts him away. It's just really good stuff, and I want to see more of this Jeff Cobb. I want to see him leaning into his size and his power and his physicality to give you those memorable power spots in the match, rather than just, going through his usual array of suplexes.
Yeah, I mean, again, Ibushi helps with that, right? He's the perfect opponent for Jeff. I feel like he's got that athleticism to allow him to take those crazy fucking bumps and go, as you say, spinning off into the night like a fucking helicopter. Yeah, there's. I don't know where I'm at with Jeff, though. I don't know where I'm sitting so far in G1. He might be the guy where I don't know if it's him per se. I mean, he's the common denominator, but it's such a varying swing with the way I enjoy his matches and don't. and again, I think what it comes down to a lot is his opponent, and what they're able to do to, and again, help along is not the point I'm trying to make, but to amplify his strengths and tone down his weaknesses. Ibushi's a top 5 guy to help him do that. One of the things that just of note, watching this match, and Cheryl's in there, and she's talking about Kota Ibushi's body. She was very impressed with Kota Ibushi. She made special mention, Joel, of how he has those. So he has the 6-pack, of course, but he has those little tiny muscles right below the rib cage. There's tiny little muscles that when he raises. Made special notice of that, and made special notice of, I didn't know guys had that. You'll never know that from me. You'll never find them on me. So I thought that was a real great shot to my self-confidence. Thank you, Kota Ibushi, once again.
What, heel turn, Ibushi. What are you doing, mate?
Fuck.
Home wrecker.
Again. I can't win.
Just stay away from wrestlers. They're bad news for you, Damon.
They really are. Stealing everybody. All right, and then we got
Okada
Taichi, right? Yeah.
Yeah. 17 minutes, 3 seconds. Okada winning with a money clip, referee stoppage. I thought this was Okada's best G1 match so far, and I put a large part of that down to Taichi, who brought the fire, the energy, the enthusiasm that is often missing from these Okada matches. Because if his opponent's not going to bring that fire, Okada's certainly not bringing that fire. Not in this current iteration, at least. So I thought Taichi did an outstanding job showing that desperation and desire to win. And I thought he also sold the money clip really well, which not many wrestlers have done. Not many of Okada's opponents have done a good job with that so far. So, I'm not going to say Taichi carried him to a good match, but I thought this is moving closer towards what I want to see from an Okada match. And also, the fact that I love Taichi and was cheering for him to win, I really didn't like the possibility of him tapping out to the money clip, was making me cheer for Taichi. So I did have some emotional investment in that. I certainly wasn't cheering for Okada, but the fact that I was cheering for someone is something that made me enjoy the match more than I otherwise would have done. So there you go. I thought this was pretty good.
I thought it was good. I thought it was real good. There were many times during this match where I had to remind myself that that's Taichi in the ring. That's how much I enjoyed the match. Like, I had to remind myself that that's Taichi, guys. Who, again, we say it a million times on this show. If you're a listener, you know what I'm going to say. Great 2 years. He's not the same Taichi, but even me still had to be like, wow, I mean, it's just weird seeing him perform at such a high level. I want to talk a second, though, about Okada, because he feels like a guy to me right now. And again, whether it's intentional, whether this is storyline, whatever this may be, he feels like a guy. Like, I don't feel like he is... I don't feel that Okada vibe with him, a specialness, a cut above, any of that when I see him. and he's one of my favorites of all time. And I just don't I just find it very weird in 2020 that I'm actively rooting for Taichi, and I'm not feeling anything toward Okada. Is that the booking? Is that him? Is that, I mean, of any top guy, let me take that back, because, I think Tanahashi might be in that world at different points in his career. But don't you find it amazing how those two top guys, how New Japan has found a way to create stars off of them, and make them feel less important at different points in their career? Like, Okada just does not feel like an important guy right now, does he?
He doesn't. And we had a question from Kutuzov, who says, how excited will you be when Okada uses the money clip to win the main event of Wrestle Kingdom? I mean, I went into detail about this in our last episode. I think there is no emotional connection between us, the casual viewers, and this current iteration of Okada, because we don't sympathise for him, because it's not as if some misfortune that was outside of his control has befallen him that's making us want to see him climb back to the top of the mountain. It's just him going a bit weird and stubborn and making a personal choice. Right, I'm going to do things this way from now on. So that's not something that I think the casual fan can empathise with. So I think that is where the big disconnect is.
Right, and my biggest challenge, and my biggest challenge is why him? Why would you do that to arguably the most talented guy on your roster? Why him?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's his decision to do that. I just, maybe because he's done so much for the company, been such a huge star for them, that they just let him do what he wants. And this is him, going experimental jazz on them.
Do you think that's what it really? Do you think it's him, or do you think it's the locker room? Okay, we're going to go this route again. Blah blah. Do you think it's more him?
I think it's him.
Okay. Well, somebody better get it in his fucking ear, because you're losing a lot of people here. When I say losing interest. There's nothing to sink your teeth into. All right. I like the match though, and you're right. Up until this point, I think this is one of Okada's best performances in G1.
Semi-main event, fifth match was Will Ospreay defeating Jay White in 80 minutes 46 seconds with a Stormbreaker. I have a feeling we're going to disagree on this one, Damon.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first and tell me what you thought of this match?
I loved it. I texted you because I heard rumors. I got wind of you didn't like this match. I don't want to give it away, but I don't know why. I thought this was fantastic. I thought Ospreay was great. I know people were complaining about the leg, but I thought he was selling he was tapping that leg and smacking it and all throughout the entire end of the match. Yeah, okay. I mean, he's doing some spectacular moves too, but okay. But I'm not gonna, you see it all the time in pro wrestling, for Christ's sake. I'm not gonna. I mean, I thought this was really good. I thought Jay White was spectacular. No, this was. I thought it was one of my favorite matches of the tournament. I thought both guys were outstanding. And again, especially Will. I'm curious to see where you fell off.
All right, I did watch this match twice. I watched it with the Japanese commentary. I watched it earlier today with the English commentary, just to make sure I felt the same way.
Okay.
I want to like all New Japan matches. I went into this one wanting to love it. Their previous match on the anniversary show was terrific. I was a big supporter of Will Ospreay, the wrestler, last year. I thought he had an incredible 2019. I mean, he was given an unprecedented amount of opportunities for sure, but I thought he did a great job putting on exciting matches that I felt also helped his opponents too.
Okay.
But since he's come back to Japan, I feel that he's changed. Now, I am trying to just discuss Ospreay, the wrestler here. I don't think I'm being influenced by his backstage transgressions, although I can never rule that out because, you know, maybe I have subconsciously become more critical of his wrestling as a result of that. But it seems to me that this Will Ospreay is a selfish wrestler with a chip on his shoulder and a huge ego that's hurting his matches. So, Yujiro match, that was basically a squash match, but it's Yujiro. I mean, fine, he's not going to get any points probably. The Ishii match, we agreed on, that was an Ospreay showcase, right? We barely got any Ishii footprint on that. Shingo match I thought was very good, but Shingo won that match, so of course that necessitated Shingo looking strong in the match. Which brings us to this match. Now, the first third of this match was getting over how strong and powerful Ospreay is. His chops are so devastating, they send Jay crawling away in pain, right? And that's okay. Jay White's, his whole gimmick is that he's the crafty coward and, you know, doesn't want to engage with that kind of physicality. So Jay's trying to pick his moments to get the advantage. Right. And he does that. He get, you know, backdrop to the floor, look great. I was like, wow, yeah, now we're cooking here. DDT through the ropes when Ospreay's trying to get back in the ring. Great. I'm on board there. It seems like he's targeting Ospreay's neck, which makes sense because Ospreay's had neck issues in the past. Blade Runner, that's a finish that also targets the neck. Okay, so all good so far. I'm enjoying it. Jay does one attack on Ospreay's leg, and then Ospreay's doing this exaggerated selling. He's limping, he's smacking his leg, he's flexing it, which had no connection to anything that happened prior to it, and no connection to anything that happened afterwards, because 1 second he's in agony, and the next he's literally doing a Sasuke special and a springboard 450 absolutely flawlessly. And then from that point onwards, it's a non-issue. The knee is forgotten about. Now, Damon, I know I can be a selling snob. I admit that. A lot of the time, I do try to overlook it because there are like 3 people in New Japan who can do it well. But this really hurt the match for me because here's the problem. It made Jay White look like an idiot. There was absolutely no consequence to this phantom leg injury. Because not once did Jay White capitalise on it by attacking it further or countering when Ospreay was selling the leg. It was just like, oh, my leg hurts a bit, but I'll shake it off and continue getting all my shit in. Because Jay White, his entire character is based upon taking advantage of those little moments, and that didn't happen here. It was just completely ignored. When Ospreay's selling the leg, Jay White's just looking at him in confusion, like he had no idea it was coming. So that made me think Ospreay just decided to improvise and throw it in. Because Jay White does not whiff like that on match psychology. That is his bread and butter. And, I mean, you might think I'm blowing a bit of shit selling out of proportion, which I will accept. But then the final third of the match is Ospreay foiling every single one of Jay and Ghetto's tricks and beating him comfortably. Ospreay was never in any danger of losing here. He completely outsmarted Jay White. And Jay White's outsmarted the entire rest of the fucking roster at some point, which makes Ospreay look like an absolute genius. Makes Jay White and everyone he's beaten look like fools. So you put those 3 acts of the match together. So Act 1, Ospreay's devastating chop, sending Jay running scared. Act 2, Ospreay deciding his leg is injured, Jay failing to take advantage of any kind, and then Ospreay making a miraculous recovery to get in all his cool moves. And then Act 3, Ospreay being wise to all of Jay and Ghetto's tricks, outsmarting them both, winning the match easily. Like, can you see why when you put all those things together, this match paints a rather unflattering picture of Ospreay? And I mean, Jay deserves some of the blame here too, because he's got a track record of high quality when it comes to big time matches. I mean, maybe I'm being unfair here, but I've got this mental image of Ospreay and Jay White laying out the match beforehand, and Jay White suggesting stuff, and Ospreay being like, no, I've got a better idea. How about I do a top rope drop kick and a pip pip cheerio and a springboard Oz cutter? And Jay White just sighing and being like, giving up and being, okay, Will, whatever, we'll do it your way. Like, you know when you're in primary school and there was always that one really annoying hyperactive kid who you play with and they keep changing the rules so they can look cool and win. That's what this felt like. Ospreay, he looked like a hyperactive kid who was living out some kind of power fantasy, and Jay White, he looked like he'd given up and phoned it in. And then add to that the backstage promo afterwards of Ospreay channeling the spirit of Kenny Omega. I don't know if you've seen this one, but it's uncanny. He sounds exactly like him. He declares himself the Billy Goat. making one of the most horrific sounds I've ever had the misfortune of hearing. Like, the man looks genuinely unhinged. He looks like he's been sitting at home for months, getting shit on by everyone on social media, rightly so, finally making it back to Japan, getting back in the ring to do what he loves, and genuinely believing that he's the best wrestler in the world who can do whatever the fuck he wants. And maybe I'm being worked, maybe this is his plan, maybe it's a heel turn, but honestly, it ruined that match for me, and it's making me pray that Ibushi knees his face in next week. So,
Wow.
There you go. There's my rant over.
I don't. Honestly, if you put any other name in that spot that Will Ospreay had in this match, would you feel the same?
Maybe not. Maybe this is my bias showing. And again, I'm putting a litany of evidence together to. Like I said, it's the whole puzzle. It's all the pieces being put together that annoyed me about this match.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I do. It did not. Those things did not bother me as much as it bothered you. I don't think that Jay was just, they're talking over the match and and Jay's resigning to anything. Like, Jay doesn't have to resign to shit, to be quite honest with you. I don't want to speculate on that because I don't know. I wasn't there. Who knows? I mean, and there's plenty of cases where people share stories of, guys working together and talking it out in the back, and guys flat out being like, I ain't doing that shit. Right? We've heard those. So I'm not going to say that didn't happen, but like, Jay White doesn't always have to get the one up on everyone. He can falter in that idea. The strategy might not work every single time. It might throw him off his game. I don't know, man.
But seeing Ospreay limping with a bad knee and then failing to follow up on that at all, like, I think he might have kicked him in the leg once.
But how is that Will Ospreay's fault?
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Jay deserves some of the blame as well. Okay. And again, that's leading to me to the conclusion that it wasn't what they laid out for the match beforehand, because it just seems so unlike Jay White. And that's where my problem is.
I hear you. Okay. I mean, but I don't know.
Like, put yourself in the shoes of Jay White, the character. If you see this stronger, faster, more athletic opponent with a bad leg, you're going to go right after that. You're going to be like a shark sensing blood in the water, and you're going to pick that knee apart. And he didn't. He completely ignored it, and it was stupid.
Okay. It's fair. A lot of that stuff. Here's the thing too. Maybe it's a bias on my part, in the sense of, I'm glad I didn't have to sit through fucking 10 minutes of Jay White working over a fucking leg. Maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah. I tell you, if you take that bit out of the match is fine, and I would enjoy it a lot more. And
really,
just people who are not good at selling injuries. If you can't do it consistently, just don't do it. It's not something Will Ospreay should do, because it's not. He's unable to perform his moveset without it. So just don't do it. It's fine. Not everyone has to do it. You didn't need to do that to prove to people what a well-rounded wrestler you are. That's making me think what's happened. He just wants to stick it to me. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to throw in some leg psychology in here, completely ad-lib it, because I'm Will Ospreay.
What do you want him to do? Fucking hobble around in a rascal scooter?
No, don't do it. That's what I mean. It clearly wasn't part of the story of the match, so don't do it.
It didn't bother me half as much. It really bothers you, but it doesn't bother me that much.
I know. I accept I could be on an island. I mean, maybe everyone's going to tweet and be like, Joel, you fucking lost it. That match was great. And I'll accept that. I'll be just over here on crazy match psychology island.
Weren't you the same guy who fucking went on a rant a year ago about Will Ospreay?
I know. This is the thing.
Where's that guy?
Again, maybe this is just me turning into a corn cob. Who the fuck knows? But I feel that 2019 Will Ospreay was great, and his matches, even when he was winning, was making his opponents look good. Even if they lost, it was like kind of 50-50, and everyone came out of it looking good. Like, he had matches with fucking Ren Narita in the Best of the Super Juniors that made Ren Narita look good. He made Doki look good in Best of the Super Juniors. So he can do it. It's just, my theory is that he's been on this lockdown in the UK, away from his wrestling, and something's broken in his brain, and he's come back like, I'm going to show everyone I'm the fucking best in the world. And I'm seeing that bleeding through into the matches. But again, maybe it's just me. I can accept being in a minority there.
If all this stuff outside the ring didn't happen, I'm not even going to ask that question because it's hard for anyone to say, yeah, it wouldn't.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean? Maybe
like,
it is. That's what I mean. That's why I said at the start, it's difficult for me to distance myself away from my own brain and say, no, there's no chance the outside of the ring stuff has made me more critical of Will Ospreay. Maybe it has. I don't think it has, but there's a chance that it has. I'm not going to... I can't say that for certain.
Right. Here's what I appreciate about you, though. At least you got the fucking balls to admit it. You know what I mean? At least you got the balls to fucking admit it. So good. Look.
Yeah, and I realise I look really silly as well, because people are going to tweet saying, oh, look, this is the same guy who was ranting and raving about how people were idiots for not liking Ospreay matches. And that wasn't my point last year when I went off on one. It was people ridiculing me for saying that I thought Will Ospreay was one of the best wrestlers in the world. Which, okay, yeah, maybe a bit thin-skinned of me. Probably wouldn't do that today. And yeah, I understand why that might be jarring, putting those two things side by side, with me last year saying how fucking brilliant he is, and this year saying that I think he's ruining the G1. I accept that it might be a bit hypocrisy, but I hope I've done a half decent job explaining what I think has changed. I've tried to explain it as clearly as I can. If I still sound like a hypocrite or a lunatic, so be it. I will take that on the chin.
I love it. Hey, listen. Again, it's good that we have differing opinions, because we could sit here and do a circle jerk for 2 fucking hours, and that would be that. And yeah, again, ballsy move by you as well. So good job by you. All right, now let's go on to a match that I fucking was so disappointed in.
We have got
I'm
a couple of
tears.
questions about Jay and Will, if you don't mind. Axel says, anyone else see hints of a double turn for heel Ospreay and a babyface White in their match, or was that just my own fantasy booking? I will say, Damon, that at the end of Ospreay's horrible skin-crawling promo, I don't know if you've seen the promo, but he said right at the end as he was walking off, oh, Jay, good thinking with the manager there, which has raised a few eyebrows. Some people thinking, is Will Ospreay going to get a manager of his own? Is he maybe going to steal Ghetto from Jay White? What are your thoughts on possible heel turn for Ospreay?
I don't know if it's going to be now for Jay White, but again, we've said it 1,000 times that I think the end game with Jay White is babyface turn. And we've said a few times in the past couple of weeks about Will, and again, maybe that dickheadedness that you point out is him, prepping us for that heel turn. Again, I don't know if Jay White would be this year. I think that's the end game. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Will Ospreay turn. I would not be shocked at all.
We also have a question about Jay White. Martin says, is Jay White the best in-ring psychology wrestler nowadays? And Paddy says, is Jay White doing anything differently now? I liked Jay before COVID and sometimes really liked him, but now I just really like everything he does. Has Jay changed, or have I? I do think, I mentioned this last time, that he is thriving in this clap crowd environment, because the way he's winding up the fans and mocking their clapping, I think is adding an extra layer to his character, which is just tremendous fun to watch for me. Do you think he's changed or improved?
Oh, I absolutely think he's improved. I think he's one of those, like, he was a breath of fresh air coming back, and since he's been back, I really can't complain much about what he's done in the ring. Yeah, I know. I think he's. I listen. If you weren't on board before, I think his return is definitely pushing more people in the positive column. That's for damn sure. Now I can't get "Has the world changed or have I changed?" I've got the fucking Smiths lyrics in my head. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was never a huge Jay White guy. That's for sure. But I would put myself in that camp of he's done himself nothing but favors in making everybody see what kind of a performer he is. I don't know what. I know people throw around ring psychology a lot, and I don't think people really know what that means. And I don't know if I do. I think a lot of people find different ways to describe ring psychology. I think what he does is everything that you talked about that was a problem with the Will Ospreay match, in the sense that his matches are logical, his matches make sense. They're more tactical than they are big impact moves, but he still has that opportunity of setting up the big impact move. Yeah, I think he's one of the best in the game right now. Absolutely.
Our main event was Tomohiro Ishii defeating Shingo Takagi in 26 minutes and 1 second with a vertical drop brainbuster. You got some thoughts on this one, Damon? You want to go first?
This one hurt, man. This one fucking hurt. Look, I like big, beefy guys beating the living shit out of each other. I love it. Love it. But I don't like it just for the fact of doing it. Because to me, it just becomes like one of. I love Ishii matches when he incorporates pace, number one. Number two, pro wrestling, and the beefy, hard-hitting moves. When you just take the hard-hitting moves, sometimes it gets to be like, what's the point? I understand that both these guys are guys that, in most cases, would rather run you over than even get the win. Like, they want to know that they fucking hurt you as opposed to, I got a 3 count on you. And if I do get a 3 count on you, it's going to be me blasting through you as opposed to getting a cheeky fucking roll-up. We know this. It's sometimes those spots of, okay, I'm going to hit you as hard as I can, and you're going to hit me as hard as I can. Or, you're going to hit me as hard, you know what I mean. That kind of gets boring after a while. And it almost becomes like not pro wrestling. It just becomes this fucking. It's almost like watching death matches. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just waiting for you to throw yourself into barbed wire and the explosion and the light tubes and the stuff to get me there is like, oh, okay. You know, like if this match were in the third position or the, second match, and they booked this match to be 10 minutes, go, that's when you see the best Ishii. But man, this fucking match let me down so hard. Like, on paper, I was salivating for this. I couldn't wait for this to fucking happen. 26 minutes is too long for these two. Because they had nothing to lead me to the last 5 minutes, which were pretty fucking great. Main event killed this fucking match.
See, I thought this was going to be another one we'd disagree on, but I'm exactly with you, Damon. The first match of theirs in the G1 last year, I enjoyed. I thought it was good. Then the Never title match, I thought, that was pretty similar to the first one. And then this one was the first one, but like twice the length. So all the flaws that you mentioned, it's just the work is great. I can't fault the work rate, the effort, the energy, the execution. It's all on point. But it just does absolutely nothing for me because there's no sense of escalation. It's like it starts off at 70 miles an hour and just continues that way the whole way through. There's no sort of differentiation in there's no sort of peaks and valleys. There's no time for you to sort of stop and catch your breath. It's just all bang, 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 and it just becomes noise. Your brain just tunes it out, and you're watching it. You're seeing all these lariats and slapping against each other and bumping and all that, and it just ends up fading into one big beefy mess, So it's just like the longer these matches go, the less interesting they become. And I said before, it's diminishing returns at this point. So I don't think this was a good choice to be a main event for me. And to be fair, again, we might be in the minority because there are plenty of people on Twitter who said they loved it and they love matches like this. And maybe it's just brain candy.
But I like the second half. Yeah, I like the second half of those kind of matches. Like the second half of this match, I thoroughly enjoyed. It was the fucking 10 minutes of them standing next to each other, just hitting each other. That I just like. After a while, you're just like, okay, we get it. It's like okay, it's enough. Like when Ishii incorporates pro wrestling, and again, a pace. That's when he's spectacular. When he's standing. They're standing in the middle of the fucking ring, and it's just like, okay, we get it. You guys are tough. All right, can we move on? That's where it gets a little because it feels like they have nothing. Let me just take that back. It feels like Ishii, when he's put in that spot, doesn't have a lot to go with except that. You know what I mean? Like that's how he's always going to lead up to these type of matches. And if we just eliminate that, we have perfection to me.
It works better, doesn't it, when he's got a different kind of wrestler to bounce that off of. Like the Ibushi match, I thought was really good because it was the kicks and the palm strikes of Ibushi as a counterpoint to the lariats and the headbutts and the forearms of Ishii. So I like there to be a kind of difference between the two opponents to make it more interesting. But these two are just so similar, and I think Shingo is fulfilling a very similar function on the roster to Ishii. He's there as sort of a big gatekeeper to help get bigger stars than him over. And they were just too similar here for it to be interesting. And I think the best match review came from Kanemaru, who's on commentary, and he said, well, that was an Ishii and Takagi match. And Kanemaru on the money with that. So there we go. That's our A block. It could be anyone's, Damon. I would not want to be betting my money on who I thought was going to win the A block because it's still too close to call. I do still think Okada is going to go on a bit of a run now. And I'm going to stick with him to be my block winner eventually, defeating Will Ospreay at the end of the A block. But if you were that way inclined, Damon, if you were a betting man and you like to put your money on the outcome of sporting events, maybe not pro wrestling, but other sports, where would you go?
Well, there's only one place for us, Joel. You know what that is. It's MyBookie, of course. It's MyBookie. Look, MyBookie can only mean one thing. It's winning season. We talk about it a lot. I hope you put some money down on the Tampa Bay Lightning because they're your Stanley Cup champions. Walked away with a cup. You walked away with some cash as well. And you got your NBA playoffs right now, and baseball is in their playoffs, and Premier League, and all of it. It's right here. It's right now. It's winning season for you at MyBookie. Winning season means doubling your first deposit. That's great news, right? Winning season means free bets, super contests, Survivor, and more. MyBookie. It's all about your chance to win big when we talk about winning season. Again, NBA playoffs. NHL, well, maybe some future bets there, right? Major League Baseball, UFC fights, of course. Craziest sports time of your life. It's here. It's here. You're living it right now. And all you need to do is go to MyBookie. It's simple. You make your picks. You win big. You collect your cash. Invest in your sports intuition. Select from hundreds of future bets. Or you can bet games in real time. MyBookie's live betting. Put that big brain of yours to good use. Use the promo code SUPERJ. That's SUPERJ. And here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to double your first deposit. That's great news. Double your first deposit just by entering SUPERJ. Unbelievable. New players get up to $1,000 in free play. It's designed to add a little bit more excitement to the sports you love and the games you already bet. Thousands of cross-sport wagers. Thousands. Count them up. props, parlays. They're waiting for you. You bet already. We know you do. I see it on the Discord. You guys making some money. Well, now you can. MyBookie is where you need to go. Super J is your promo code. Double your first deposit. No brainer. Sign up now. Bet with the best. Celebrate your victory. Your winning season begins today. Only at MyBookie.
Our night 8, is it? Yeah, we're night 8 of the G1 Climax now. Was on Thursday, yesterday in Niigata. And our first B-block match was Juice Robinson defeating Toru Yano in 6 minutes 42 seconds with a roll-up. And for me, Damon, this one passed the Yano laugh test. I did have a little chuckle. I enjoy Yano when he brings gifts and he's saying, "Present for you, please wear," and shouting. I like that. That makes me chuckle. And also I enjoy Juice Robinson doing moves with his ankles tied together. I thought that was funny. I think he should have wrestled more. I would have liked to see him try and do the pulp friction with his ankles tied together. But yeah, I chuckled, so this one is a win for me.
Yep, I had a couple chuckles as well. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a grouchy old guy. Had a couple chuckles, and I even had a nice little laugh at Juice Robinson at the end, if you noticed, when he was walking through the curtain or right before. You can't bullshit a bullshitter. And I like that line a lot. So good job. 9,562 stars for that one.
Next match was Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Hiroki Goto in 3 minutes 59 seconds with a European clutch. I thought this was great. I was expecting a longer match, but I like being surprised. I love it when you have the odd match that goes less than 5 minutes just to keep you on your toes, keep you honest. So you're not sitting there thinking, well, nothing's going to happen until the 10-minute call is gone. And it made sense because Goto just had this massive war with Naito. He's got his shoulder all banged up. Zack went straight after him. I think Zack has been one of the MVPs of this G1 so far. He's shown a lot more dynamism and energy. Like from bell to bell, he just seems to be more of a spring in his step. I don't know if he's trying to make up for the fact that the rest of B Block are sort of slower paced wrestlers and is being more dynamic to make up for that. But he's been one of the highlights for me for this B Block, and I thought he really showed it here because he just went straight after Goto's bad shoulder, injured him even further, and then caught him off guard with the European clutch roll up. I thought this was tremendous.
Yep. I'm not going to go so far as to say a surprise pinfall, but I think everyone was, you heard even gasps in the crowd when the fucking third slap of the mat happened. And that was great. Like, everybody, I think, was shocked and thrilled. Now, look, I'm sure if you're the guy who's being asked, listen, we need you to fucking lie down, and it's going to be under 5 minutes. I'll make it up to you, but tonight, you gotta be okay with that. And I got to tip my cap to Hiroki Goto on that one. Because he could have very easily been like, fuck that, I'm not, no. He did it. And he had to swallow his pride a little bit. I'm sure a little bit. It's good. I like that. Good job. High-paced, exciting, worked the shoulder. Yep, absolutely. No, it was a thrill. It was a thrill, that match. And you don't always have to go 20 minutes. You don't always have to go 15 minutes. Keep us on our toes. I think that is the one thing that you need more of, number one. And and I would love to see it in the main event. I would love to see New Japan have the guts to do that.
I was just thinking that. Main event that goes like 7 minutes. That would be awesome. Wouldn't
it be awesome? And I'm not saying that just because... Like, it would be awesome in the sense of you're on your toes and you don't expect it. That's what you kind of want in your pro wrestling. The best pro wrestling is when you don't know who's going to win. That kind of thing. If they had the fucking guts to pull that off in a main event, man, I would be standing up and giving them a standing ovation. No doubt about it. I like that they did it here. Made sense. Everything's fine. It really... Goto's not, losing out on this one. He's not, he doesn't look like a fucking geek. There's a legitimate reason for him to lose. I like that. But no, I it's strange, but like, I think those matches have more impact to me than the 26-minute Ishii Shingo match. Like, to me, this has more impact.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think it's important to have that sort of variety to keep you honest. And so you're not sitting there knowing that nothing of consequence is going to happen for the first portion of the match. So there we go. Another match that, well, it didn't surprise me, but I loved, was the fourth match with Hiroshi Tanahashi defeating Yoshihashi. 18 minutes, 41 seconds with a high-fly flow. Damon, I thought this was great. I'm so impressed with Yoshihashi this tournament. And he and Tanahashi, they got good chemistry. They put in a really good match in the G1 a couple of years ago. And to me, Yoshihashi is exceeding all expectations here. I thought this was great. I bit on all the near falls. He's improved the butterfly lock with a little Kimura arm lock twist thing. He's added to it. That's making it look more dangerous. It was just so back and forth towards the ends, and I had no idea who was going to win. I was cheering for Yoshihashi. I can't believe it. I'm a Yoshihashi fan now. I was desperate for him to get that win over Tanahashi. And I also think it's notable, Tanahashi did 3 high-fly flows in this match, and he doesn't bust those out for anyone. He doesn't bust them out for everyone in the G1. A lot of the times he's going to get through, he'll get through his 12-minute match and he'll roll someone up at the end without taking a pounding with a high-fly flow. But he did 1 into the mat and then he did 2 to finish off Yoshihashi, which to me shows the respect that he has and the respect that I think we all need to start showing to our new Lord and Saviour, Yoshihashi. Ichiban Sweet Boy.
Well, all right. I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna give you a little sugar to make the medicine go down. How about this? I agree that Yoshihashi had a fantastic fucking match here. Fantastic match. Loved it. One of the best performances I've seen in G1, and he's had a fantastic G1. He's had a fantastic year. Right? Let's not mince words. He's had it's if this year can't get any fucking stranger, Yoshihashi is having a great year.
Yeah, the Tenzan match in the New Japan Cup. Who was expecting that to be good in an empty arena? That was great. The other 6-man tournament, he was the heart and soul of that. And now in the G1, he is putting us all to shame.
Yep. Now, Sonata match was okay, right? It was good. He's in the. I gotta tip my cap to Hiroshi Tanahashi too. Every fucking year we talk about how he's held together with duct tape and what did Zach say? Duct tape and hairspray. He's had a Yano match aside, right? And the Juice one, which was a little disappointing just because of me. That's not. I'm not even saying it was a bad match. It was. I'm a little disappointed in it. I thought it was going to be a little bit better, but okay. See, those 2 matches are sandwiched between some 2 fucking outstanding performances, and again, everybody wants to fucking put him aside and put him in the bin and put him in the old age home. Hiroshi Tanahashi's had some pretty fucking great matches in this G1. When it's called for, when he gets a tap on the shoulder, he goes. So Yoshihashi was in there with arguably the greatest pro wrestler of my generation. It's saying something. I'm not taking anything away from him though, because he's had a great year and he needed to be a great dance partner to make this match great. Hiroshi Tanahashi's in there though. He's pretty fucking good.
Our 5th match was Evil defeating Kenta in 15 minutes 40 seconds with
clean.
Yeah. In our first Bullet Club versus Bullet Club match of this G1 climax, and I enjoyed this a lot, more from the story aspect than necessarily the in-ring stuff, because I think it's one of the most intriguing things that they've got in their arsenal coming up for the next few months is what's going to happen with this big Bullet Club story where you've had the big boys, Jay and Kenta, out of the country whilst Evil has been recruited. Is Evil really part of the Bullet Club, or is he just using it as a means to an end to progress his own career? What role does Dick Togo play in that? So I just found it very, very interesting the way before the match when Kenta offers the 2-sweet and then Evil and Dick Togo reject that and do their own little 2-sweet together. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Now we're cooking. Now I'm really interested in this story. Match itself, I liked it. A lot of bullshit, a lot of shenanigans. There were just little moments I like. I enjoy when it's heel versus heel. And one of the heels doesn't magically become a babyface. Like Kenta was still acting like Kenta. He was still being a dickhead. But in a way that was making you cheer for him. Like I just loved him sort of grabbing Dick Togo. I don't know what he whispered to him, something menacing. Like, if you get involved in this, I'm going to fuck you up. And it was just interesting seeing all that stuff playing off each other and him decking him with a briefcase. So he was still being heel Kenta, but just put against the opponent of Bullet Club heel Evil, made it really interesting. I mean, a lot of shenanigans, ref bumps, a lot of bullshit towards the end, but I didn't mind it. It's something that I've come to expect in Evil matches, and it doesn't really bother me at this point. And I thought the match was pretty good. I'm enjoying Evil more. I think he's getting more comfortable with the character because he's still learning. He's being asked to play an entirely new role here, so he's still figuring it out, and I think he's getting more comfortable with it. Just little things like the way he smirks at the camera, licks his lips, a kind of horny, sexy way.
Hot.
I like that. That's a good touch. The way he works over body parts, the way he was working over Kenta's shoulder with some interesting maneuvers. I thought that is an improvement in his game. So I think he's starting to put things together because he's kind of thrown in at the deep end, being asked to do this whole new character with 24 hours notice after the New Japan Cup final. So I'm willing to give him more time to grow, and yeah, I thought this was a good match.
I thought it was really good. I enjoy the bullshit when it's... Cheryl just walked in and gave me my vitamins. She goes, oh boy. I enjoy the bullshit when it comes to inter-faction heel groups. Like, I expect it. I mean, I want all the bullshit, really. I don't want to fucking grab an arm bars. Give me all the dick punches. Give me all the manager interference. Give me all the ref bumps. Because why wouldn't it? Like, it would just... You would think it would magnify. You got both those guys, Why be a Why be a baby face? Why would you need one? I don't want to see that. Nobody does. So, I do think it's little seeds. I think a lot of the interaction that you saw here in this match are little things, little things that you'll look back on when this finally implodes, and part of that storyline and that's part of that narrative can be traced back to a match like this and other matches that we'll see, I'm sure, throughout the year when it comes to Bullet Club. So yeah, I thought it was a decent match. I thought it was good. And it might have been the bullshit that kind of scaled it down for me. But I embraced it. I kind of, it was just like, okay, give me it all. Give me all the fucking shit you can in this match because it just makes perfect sense to me.
That's it. At this point with Evil, if there wasn't the bullshit, if you didn't get Dick Togo trying to strangle the opponent on ringside, you'd be like, what's going on? Where's my bullshit? We've come to expect it. Maybe it's Stockholm Syndrome, but I like it now. I want it in all the Evil matches. It makes me laugh.
Right.
David says, what do you think of Evil since the turn? I'd always liked him in LIJ and hoped to get a push, but it's not working for me. Slow matches, no notable new moves, and predictable ref bump / interference. It's like watching the bad parts of Jay White without the great stuff Jay does. You're not in the minority, David. I will say that. There's plenty of people who would agree with you, so we can't sit here and tell you you're wrong for disliking it. It's just, I think it's an acquired taste. I'm not saying, oh, you're an idiot for not appreciating it. I just think it's the sort of thing you need to recalibrate your expectations for what Evil is, what he's delivering, and again, just give him a bit of leeway that this is a new thing for him that he's figuring out and will get better. So I would say be a bit more patient with him, but again, if you hate it, you hate it. Who am I to tell you differently?
Yeah, I mean, you know what you're going to get, and I think the word recalibrate is a great term to use because I think people need to do that. You're not going to get... I can't even say you're not going to get great matches out of Evil. I just think that if you're a person who hates it when great matches then at the end bullshit occurs. You might get hurt through for a little bit watching Evil's matches.
Try and think of the bullshit as one of his signature moves. Like you expect Naito to do the Valentia, or you'd expect Okada to do the drop kick. Just think of the Dick Togo interference or the nut shots as one of his signature moves. Not his finishing move, but one of his moves, and you'll enjoy yourself a lot more. That's my strategy anyway.
Even better advice.
Yeah. Okay, so main event here was Sanada in his hometown defeating Tetsuya Naito. So here, actually, the second time in this G1 where a faction member has defeated their leader. In 27 minutes, 8 seconds with the moonsault. I'm conflicted on this. I really liked nearly all of it. I think Sanada looks great now. The beard, the hair, he's looking like a serious main eventer, and he's cut the Paradise look out. The bullshit's gone. He did it against Yano. He hasn't done it against anyone else, I think. And here, I thought him and Naito put on a really good main event, and I was with it, and I was thinking, yes, this is the Sanada that I want to see. This is the Sanada I can see being a big player in New Japan. But then, in like the last 3 minutes or so, it all kind of fell apart. It got really sloppy. They were dropping each other and falling over, and I was just like, oh no, what's going on? My lovely match, it's ruined. And so I'm trying to sort of compartmentalize it, like reconcile those two things: the fact that they put on a really good main event, but then it all went to shit at the end. And I'm struggling to do that because part of it, maybe you can attribute that to storyline. Naito has had 4 long, grueling main events with Tanahashi and Zack and Goto, and now Sanada. He's been leaned on heavily in these main events as the big star, the B block, with his 2 titles. And in storyline, you would expect, his knees are going to be hurting a bit, and he might stumble when he's doing a Destino, and he might drop Sanada when he's suplexing him or whatever. And we know Sanada, he can have his sloppy moments as well, so I don't know if I should just hand wave that and be like, it was just a little blip on what was otherwise a really good match, or if I should look at that and think, this is a problem. And I don't know where I sit on that at the moment, Damon.
I think it's fair. I felt, at least in the second half of your review, I saw the sloppiness, and I'm right on board with you. I don't know if I was into this match, and if we use the how many times that I go to the phone as a reference point, I felt like I went to the phone a lot. To the point where I was like, I got to put down my fucking phone and like get into this. I had trouble with it. I had trouble getting into this. I had trouble keeping my interest in it. There were points where I'm just, and maybe it was because I binge watched these shows. I wasn't able to watch them live, and I wasn't able to even watch them in the morning. So I had to stay spoiler free as best as possible. But I did. But it just felt like maybe it was just like, okay, maybe too much wrestling. I don't know. And they just maybe I need to rewatch. I could not connect with this match at all. Even with the Los Ingobernables faction thing. Even with Sanada getting the win over Champ, which Joel, are we going to have a Sanada Naito main event somewhere? I don't know if I'm ready for that. I got to be honest with you. I didn't feel it.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone, actually. Louis says, as an LIJ fan, I was expecting a bit more out of that Sanada versus Naito match. Is it wrong to not have liked that match too much? No, because it's not wrong to dislike anything. I mean, you're entitled to your feelings. And also, I'm just checking here. I believe John Carroll went low on it as well. John gave it 3 3/4. And John says it's the first time in the G1 they've been below the grapple average on a Naito match. So maybe I'm in the minority in liking it so much. Although the grapple average being sort of, I haven't looked at it, but I guess somewhere near 4 suggests that people were into this match. So yeah, it seems like quite a divisive one.
Well, I mean, I think those two guys, when it comes to main events, can be. Specifically Sanada. I mean, I don't. Is there anybody more polarizing in match quality than him? Maybe Jay White. Yeah, I just couldn't. I couldn't sink my teeth into this. And again, to be fair, I'm not trying to come up with excuses because I feel like it's their job to get me into this match. I did, I felt like I binge watched, and it was at the end of a little bit of a tunnel there. I'm like, the moonsault is the one thing I'll take from this match at the end. There's not a lot else that I'm even like recollecting, let alone praising.
All right, what about the post-match stuff where Sanada
turned it off?
With the fist bump. He did the fist bump to Naito. I thought that was a really nice moment because Naito's been through it, the heartbreak of evil turning him. I thought that was just a nice little moment that, like, yeah, I've beaten you, but we're still bros. That was sweet.
I saw them turn off the house lights and everybody turn on their fucking lights, and I was like, all right, I'm good. Good night. I'm good. No, I didn't. I saw the dimming of the house lights and the.
It would have been before it. This was immediately after the bell had gone, after the pinfall.
Oh, I saw that. I thought you meant there was something else after that. Okay.
No, Sanada offered the fist bump to Naito, and Naito accepted it. It was just a nice moment, like two brothers in the same faction just going out a hammer and tong, see who the best man is without there being any betrayal involved.
All right, not like that fucking Ishii. God damn, he can't take a 3 count. He's fucking swinging at everybody after matches. Like, relax. You had 20 fucking minutes to put on a match. You got to keep going. Relax.
What a selfish prick. So sick of the motherfucking Ishii. Okay, Brandy says, so this morning's card, top to bottom, is probably my favourite thus far in the G1. Do you concur? One of the things I loved about it is putting the 2 intra-faction matches side by side. Really helped to highlight the power struggle within Bullet Club versus the mutual respect of giving it all to your opponent and friend in LIJ. Just a great touch of using card structure to your advantage. Also, upon rewatching watching with my husband, I'm struck by how Zach's quick pin primed me for each near fall in a Tanahashi versus Yoshihashi match. I fell for so many, but didn't notice until rewatching because they were separated by the break. The craftsmanship of the storytelling is chef's kiss. I agree with you, Brandy. This was one of my favourite shows so far in the G1. If the main event had been a bit cleaner in the closing stretch, I would say it is my favourite. It might still be. It's definitely up there. But I just think the quality of all 5 G1 matches, and actually the Young Lions match, that brilliant 15-minute draw, was consistently high and made for a really enjoyable and memorable show for me.
Oh, all right. I like Night 7 a little bit better. Ibushi, Cobb, Okada, Taichi, Ospreay, White, and even the last half of Ishii and Shingo was all right. I think, like I said, the main event was a little disappointing. So I didn't hate 8, but I didn't hate on 8, but 7 I think is more my cup of tea.
So a couple of questions before we go. Mark's got 2 questions for us. 1, what in your opinion has changed in Yoshihashi? It's like he's a completely different guy. 2, what does Sanada and Okada need to add to their horrible submissions to make it as good as the new and improved Butterfly Kimura combination lock?
I tell you what, that money clip, people really don't like that, do they? It really is.
I think it depends on the selling. I think, Okada is deliberately executing it in a sloppy way for the first couple of attempts, but then if it's the closing stretch and he locks it on tight, I think it can look good, and I think if his opponent sells it properly, then it's got potential. But that's not my favourite submission.
No, I mean, do you think that like the average New Japan Pro Wrestling fan is sitting there saying, Okada, he can't lock it on? Do you think we overanalyze it a little bit? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, are we just making a fucking mountain out of a molehill? But it just doesn't connect. I mean, we got to talk about it honestly, and it just doesn't connect with us. What was the second question?
What's changed for Yoshihashi? It's the never 6-man title belt. That's it. That's been giving him the spark that he's needed.
I think you put him in compelling moments, and you lean into the fact that he is an underdog, and you lean into the fact that he is Yoshihashi, and you root for him. I think New Japan's done a pretty fabulous job in giving us reasons to care about him. Here's the thing: I've never said he's a terrible wrestler, and I've never said he's can't perform when he gets the fucking tap on the shoulder. He's a bag of socks, and the bag of socks means he's fucking there. He's just there. Dull. Give me a reason to fucking give a shit about this guy. New Japan's done a pretty good job of making me give a shit about Yoshihashi. Then add to the fact that he's gotten in the ring and performed at a pretty high level for Yoshihashi anyway. Because here's the thing too: if you're Yoshihashi, well, what motivation do you have to fucking perform at that high of a level in countless six-man tags? Right? He's got an opportunity. They gave him an opportunity. They gave him a reason for us to care. And go out there and fucking hit a home run. And he's doing it.
I totally agree. I think seeing him lose his G1 spot last year maybe gave him a bit of a kick up the arse. And now he's been presented with this opportunity. Okay, you're back in. Show us that you deserve to be there. And he's taken that. So fair play to him and the company as well. Last question then. Liam says, favourite G1 match thus far? I think I know what you're going to say, Damon.
Yeah, I think it's hands down. Will and Shingo. I love that match. Watched it again. And I don't have time to fucking rewatch shit. I rewatched that. Thoroughly enjoyed it again. So that's my number one so far. Then, you know what? There's any one of those two Tanahashi matches I really enjoyed as well. The Yoshihashi one I thought was really great. I would put that on a short list as well.
I think in terms of pure enjoyment, Zack versus Evil might be my favourite. Not as epic as Naito versus Tanahashi, but the dynamics of it and the surprise finish really was really enjoyable for me. I was like jumping up out of my sofa, like, yeah, go on, Zack, you did it. So yeah, that might be my favourite actually.
Yeah. Okay. That's not a bad pick. I would be in my short list. I'm going to be truthful too, and I know you're going to be like, oh, Jesus Christ. Will and Jay, I'm putting on there, my man. I'm sorry, like that makes it's in like top 5. I really liked that match a lot. I really did. All right, so that's that.
That's that.
One more, or are we good?
No, we're good. Sorry, I know I've got so many questions. I've got a huge list now of people who've asked us questions that are not directly related to the G1, but I don't have the time to answer them all. So I am prioritising questions that are directly related to the G1. I'm adding all the other questions to the list. We've got a huge backlog, which I'm sure we'll get to eventually, but I cannot give more than 2 hours to this, unfortunately, because I've got my family, and I feel it's unfair on my wife for me to just ditch her and leave Esther with her, and I want to spend time with them as well. So again, I'm sorry, but that's all the questions for today. So I'm going to wrap it up and direct you to my bookie using the code SuperJ to do some betting, win some big money, and get some freebies by using that code SuperJ. redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast for our page. If you want to give us some money, that would be much appreciated. Discord link is in the show notes. There's always good fun watching the shows live and being in the chat in the spoiler zone. I love it. I've always got it on in the background when I'm watching the shows. Always good to chat with people there. ProWrestlingTees.com/SuperJcast if you want to get one of our excellent t-shirts. And thanks, as always, to Editor Dan. You can find him on Twitter at LousyHero219. And the hit new single from Escape the Box, Spare a Thought, which is now doing the rounds on none other than Kerrang. They've got a hit on their hands, Damon.
Yeah, heavy rotation, from what I understand. I mean, we all know Kerrang. Dan will hit us up and let us know that the success of Escape the Box, and if you haven't done so already, Spotify, all your streaming services, give them a listen. I mean, they're sounding great. They're sounding tighter. New stuff coming out all the time. The videos that they shoot, holy shit. I mean, I'm like, well, this is a fucking movie you guys created. I mean, this is a legit thing. You're missing out. Get in on Escape the Box. Support Dan. And listen, if you have access to Kerrang, I'm sure online you can listen, or wherever you do. Keep an ear out for Escape the Box. Big things for Editor Dan.
Yeah, definitely check out on YouTube the new single Spare a Thought. Excellent stuff. You guarantee it's worth your time there. And maybe Editor Dan might want to mix in the song and the outro. Who knows? I'll have a word with him afterwards. Subscribe to Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great shows. Loads of G1 content going up on the regular there. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter @SuperJcast. Thank you everyone for listening, and goodbye.